Hello everyone, welcome back to Euro Fever Garage. As always, I'm your host Donovan. Today we're going to be doing an oil change on this N52/N51 engine. This applies for any cars that has that same motor, same block, yada yada. Z's, 3 Series, X5s, X3s, the list goes on. This engine was used for quite some time, so a lot of the same methodologies apply. It's just a matter of where things are located. To make this video a little bit more interactive, I am going to be switching to a GoPro, so it's a little bit more POV style. But with that being said, let's jump straight into it.
Alright, so in order to start an oil change, you obviously need oil. I decided to go with Liqui Moly's Molygen in 5W40 weight or viscosity, and I found that this is the best for my use case because I'm in Texas where it is a little bit hotter. On top of that, I got the man filter that comes with a new crush washer and a couple of the rubber O-rings that you're going to need. Some other things you'll need for this are some shop towels in case you make a mess, some gloves, both disposable and reusable, as well as a jack and jack stands to properly set up the car. Alright, now some tools you're going to need for the job are an oil filter housing removal tool. I got this one off Amazon for about $15. It has a 21mm socket on top, which is a half drive, so I also have an adapter for that. Speaking of adapters, you're also going to need a ratchet with a 17mm socket, and as always I have my trusty set of work tunes to listen to music while I do my oil change. Now as we move on to the actual job portion of this, I always like to start with gloving up, making sure my hands don't get dirty. We're going to open the hood, that way we can actually start with the top and get the oil filter out. I always like to have this little stopper with me to put on the struts. I don't know if y'all have ever seen Jamie's garage videos, but he has had a couple times where these struts fail on them and they'll actually collapse. And plus it's a pretty cheap tool, so I just have it on me at all times just in case for that extra security and peace of mind. So starting from the top, we're going to remove the oil filter first, just because it's easier to let some of the oil drain down. Once you've gotten the tool on the actual oil filter cap, go slow with this, as I have found that sometimes the O-ring will bind up, or you might have the threads get kind of locked up if there's no oil. So just be careful here. Just break the torque, and then once you can hand loosen it, then I would suggest doing that. After we've gotten the filter out, just let it drain out for a little bit, and then we can move to the bottom. Now, moving to the under tray of the car, one thing that I have found with the 1 Series is that it is a little bit low, so even with my low profile jack, I have a hard time getting underneath. Once you have gotten it underneath and under the splash shield, there's a big rubber center jacking point where you will be lining up your jack. Once you've gotten it lifted up high enough, be sure to put your stands at a good location on the jacking points on the sides of the vehicle, and then you'll see a flap underneath that we will open later on to expose the drain plug. Once the car is properly secured, then what you're going to do is grab your headphones, because that is a very important part of the job. But do be sure to have your oil drain pan as well as a piece of cardboard that you can lay underneath as well. The cardboard is really good because not only is the cardboard going to catch any spraying oil, but it'll also show you if there's any leaks once you've done the oil change and put the plug back in, and we can monitor that once we've put oil back in the car. Now once you've gotten under your car, you can see that there's a splash shield here on my 1 Series. I'm not sure how it looks on the 3 Series or any of the X vehicles, but for this car in particular, we do have a little flap that opens and exposes the oil drain plug. Basically, you're just going to move the little holder off to the side, and you'll have a 17mm oil drain plug that we need to break the torque on. Now that the oil is draining, it's a good practice to take a look at the oil under some sort of light like I'm doing here to be able to see if there's any shiny material in the oil as well as anything else that looks out of the ordinary. Another good practice is also to actually collect some of the oil for a sample to send to Blackstone Laboratories. I've done this on the 1 Series in the past and it gave some great insight into the history of the vehicle, the health of the engine, and some things to be on the lookout for just in case. Now while we're waiting for the oil to reach a slow drip, we're going to head back over to where we left all of our parts and grab the oil filter box in order to replace all of our O-rings as well as the oil filter and check to see if there's any contamination in the previous oil filter. Another good practice to have here is to make sure to lubricate all of your O-rings with just a little bit of the new oil. I'll usually open one of the new containers of oil and just dip the O-rings in there to make sure they're nice and lubricated. The man filter comes with a new copper crush washer for the oil drain plug, so be sure to change the old one off and put the new one on, and then we'll go back over to the car to reinstall the drain plug. That way we can monitor for any leaks when we put in the new oil. Now onto the easy part of the job, which is putting in the new oil. I always like to put at least half a quart to a full quart into the oil filter housing just to make sure the new filter is primed and ready to go. Now moving to the block, we're going to pour the rest of the oil into the main area where the oil actually goes into. For the E82 and E88 series in both N52 and N51 configurations, the owner's manual states about 6.5 liters or 6.9 quarts of oil for the whole change. FCP Euro offers these pre-arranged kits for oil changes which have the proper amount of oil required for the change. Once all your oil is in, we're going to put the oil filter back in the housing, and it's going to get torqued down to about 25 Newton meters, or it'll just bottom out. I also have a little green marker here to know when to stop and make sure that it's fully tightened. Once I've finished at the top, I go underneath again and double check that the oil drain plug has not shown any leaks. The oil drain plug is also torqued down to 25 Newton meters, but Guten Tight works just as well. Once you've double checked that both areas are torqued down to spec, you can start the car and we'll move forward with resetting the oil service indicator light. Now we move to the inside of the car to reset the oil change interval light. In order to do that, we're going to put the car in accessory mode, so put your key in and just press the start button once with no foot on the brake. Hold the odometer button until it goes into service mode. Then using the toggle switch on the turn signal will allow you to scroll through the different menu items, and then you'll use the BC button to press on oil and hold it until it says reset, pressing it again to make sure that it's gone and confirmed on the menu. Once you've reset the indicator on the gauge cluster, you can turn off the car, and once you get back in, if you have the navigation, you can check in vehicle info and it'll show you the updated interval for the next oil change.
Alright, so it's about 104 degrees outside right now. All of my cameras are failing, so I have to make this quick. That's it. It's super simple, just like that. I mean, I did this in 30 minutes. Obviously, it feels more like an hour because it is 100 plus degrees outside. Thank you all so much for watching till the end of this video. I really appreciate it. Supporting the channel really helps us grow. Make sure to leave a like and comment on what you'd like to see next. And until next time, see you all around.